Well, good morning. My name's Kieron Seamons, and today we are getting back into some illustrations for the new book, Worry Lips. So, that's what we'll be doing today. We'll be doing some drawings, something similar to that. So, go and get your pen, get your paper, come and join me. Well, hello. So, we are back into the Worry Lips mode, as we call it. And it's really about illustrating the book that has been written. And there is a book one, so if you haven't already bought it, why not? Go and get my big orange book. Book one. There you go. That's what it looks like. Big fat chunky thing. Look at that. And there's Norman and his ghost. So we're going to be trying to get back into doing some drawings for you today. The book just fell on the floor. So, we're going to get some inky drawings moving. We're going to get into something. And today, it's Norman meets this cat in the street that's talking to him. And, oh, there's his eye. It's just... I love the way that the ink just sometimes dictates what you're going to do. That's the beauty of Indian ink, that sometimes it just says, no, today you're doing this. And it is one of the most incredible mediums. I love the way that it pulls you along in a way, you know. And he meets this cat, and this cat kind of gives him some advice. Excuse me. In the book, Norman has this kind of open mind, and he's kind of in a ghost type world. Ghosts have kind of visited him, and they are leading him in a certain direction. It's very, I don't want to say too much, because book two really does take it into an incredible direction, to be honest. It really has gone much further than I kind of imagined, really, for book one kind of started off, and it was such a pleasure book. It was such a pleasure doing. That what happened really was that at the end of book one, I had so much kind of excitement about it, and so many people were asking, and the book was really, really beautifully received. I can't say any any more happiness than that. If someone, you know, if your book kind of is taking on a kind of a life of its own after, it's beautiful. And I had a lot of questions, a lot of people kind of asking, like, well, so does that mean that Norman is going to? And that was kind of the main kind of reason that I, straight after doing book one, I almost began immediately to write thoughts. Almost immediately got into this thing of, well, where is this going? Where is Norman? What is this? What does that mean? What is this? And it was really quite an incredible feeling, really, because I had never really got to the... Usually when you get to book two, you kind of like... You're really kind of fighting with it a little bit. You're kind of really kind of digging around to find out, is there a second story here? Is there more to what I've done? Could I make a book two out of it? Whereas with Norman, it was kind of like, you have to. There's so much sitting there. There's so many questions that need to be answered. And the beauty of it was that a lot of those questions almost immediately were answered, or I thought were answered, which is where the beauty of this all kind of comes. That I kind of wrote a lot of things down quite almost immediately, and then I put it all on the side, and I thought, right, let's kind of wait to see how book sales really do before I start taking a year of my brain to kind of put another book together. Well, you know, making a book is a very big kind of dedication, and it does take up a lot of time. As you know, I haven't been making videos as much, for the simple reason that I'm soaked with the new book. Oh, he's looking nice. And oh, right, back to the ink. So we were talking about our cat, and we were talking about the cat in the story of the Worry Lips book 2. Sorry, I had somebody come to the door, so I just had a slight. And that nib is just kind of getting a little bit. I call this kind of stage of a nib as being dry, and it's when the nib kind of loses a little bit of flex. A little bit is enough to make me throw down the nib and go for another one. When you have a nib that's very hard, it's more easy to control. When you have a very flexy nib, I've seen them flexy nibs, I've bought flexy nibs, and I find that their flex is very kind of it's not like a true flex, so you don't really have much control over it as much as you do with a very hard nib, in my experience. Now, you might find something different. You might find it completely the opposite, but I find that if a nib is hard, I can control exactly to the point of exactly what I want from it. Whereas I find when it's given me some kind of false flexibility to it, I find it does make me go to a certain point of its flexibility, and if I go any further with that flexibility, in a lot of cases my nib snaps and breaks. Whereas with a very firm nib, the flex is at my control. And of course, if I pull it and push it too much, it will also snap. But I do feel that it gives me more of a pull, which I love. So this cat is a little bit of a wise cat, and it's giving Norman some advice in the book. Now, he's not really the type of cat that he instantly trusts, obviously because of its ghostly face and everything else. So he's not really sure whether he should trust it or not. Which is why I'm trying to get a pleasant expression, but at the same time I'm trying to keep him with that kind of dodgy edge. And I'm hoping that the ears, once I bring the ears in, it will add a lot to that kind of untrusting edge to his character. So I'm very, 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 very pleased that I have actually taken the time to do book 2. I wasn't sure that I would actually have the time to do it with all the projects that I'm actually constantly on in this kind of brainstorming of a new book and that's something I should be very pleased with. You know, I should be very pleased that I'm constantly thinking of new books and new adventures. But at the same time, I would like to do more books with other people. You know, I'd like to be able to get a nice book that challenges me in a way. But then that's a two-folded thing. It's like with other people's books, you need to also vary your style. I mean, I try to vary my style anyway. I tried not to just be an ink artist. I do try, like with the little books that I've been doing, the little children's books that I've been doing. I do feel it's nice to... I've actually been working on a pencil one as well. I do the colour ones as well. I don't know if you've seen some of those. They're in the shop. And then I've done the little kids book, which I can't reach right now. And the kids book is kind of like this boy who dresses up as an animal. And it kind of gives me a relax from being wild and crazy with the ink, which is kind of like how I've been seen recently. But I just love the whole process of drawing, so I've been trying to get my skills with charcoal up. I'd like to be able to do a book with a nice charcoaly look to it. And I've been working on a story with that. But again, it's kind of like fitting the story to a style, which is part of the great side of being an illustrator, is you do have that finding the style. Right, well, I'm not quite sure how much I'll just use a brush there for this ear part, because I'm trying to kind of feel some thickness with it. That's beautiful. And the other ear I want to try and do is a slightly kind of different angle to it. And the Worry Lips story has been something that's been very, very, very important to me for a very, very long time now. It's been a story that I've been working on and constantly kind of working on. I mean, I did kind of roughly write the book, and then I got to a point where I thought I wasn't sure if it was a book or a series of thoughts, and my initial feeling was that maybe it's just a book of thoughts. Maybe it's a book of a boy who meets a ghost and has thoughts of life. And it kind of got to a point that the more that I did that book, and the more that I did about 3 different books of it, and then it went on to be like a big kind of catalogue of, where I added a few extra books, extra drawings to it. And then it just kind of, I couldn't stop thinking about Norman, and I couldn't stop thinking about his situation with these ghosts. And then I went back to my original idea of making it into a novel, and that was a lot of hard work. That was a massive amount of hard work. It was actually a lot harder to do book 1, obviously, to kind of break the challenge, to kind of move forward and to go from being an illustrator to being an author. And for you who have tried to do so, it's not the same job, An illustrator, you have to see everything slightly different. You need to see everything, and that was what took me a lot of the time about not writing in a visual way. It's kind of like you have to write as people would be expecting a book. And you need to write it as an author would. And sometimes, especially for me, I found that my writing style became more visual in a good way. I would kind of sketch out plans, for, I guess, also from my kind of storyboard days. Also, I was like kind of seeing everything as an image. So sometimes I would have to kind of sketch out certain sequences to be able to see them as a written text, which is a very complicated way to do things. But in all honesty, I don't think I could have done Worry Lips in any other way. I couldn't have done it as just a book. It would have to be a written process. Right, so I'm going to have to dive back into that brush. Where's that lovely, lovely brush gone? Now this cat is, I'm trying to gain his character as a little bit like, would you trust him? Because I do feel that's kind of like how Norman is in the book. It's kind of like, well, I'm not sure if I do trust this character. Is he a trustworthy creature or not? Nice kind of tabby stripes on him. The man across from me has bought an ice cream van. So every now and again I kind of hear this. I don't know if you heard it then, but it was like, can you hear it? Might have to just top that ink up a little bit. Excuse me for a second. I just filled it up just before this drawing, so it's like a whole jar of ink, When you imagine how much ink that jar holds, and that's what has been put out on this drawing. There's something nice about using a brush with ink, because you lose that kind of being careful, you know. Sometimes when you're doing a drawing, sometimes you can get too careful with things. And when you're using a brush, it's just kind of like, wham! You know, there it is! And there's something really, really beautiful. I've always loved that. I love the way that it's just lovely. Get that nice hair feeling. Very nice. And there's a very nice kind of scribbly feeling also with a nib, that you can kind of go back and forward, feel that edginess to it. Kind of gives you that lovely loose type of feeling. It's actually very warm here today, as you can probably tell from me sitting here in a t-shirt. Mr. Mira's out there sunbathing at the moment, which is a very unusual thing for him, being that he doesn't really have any hair on his body, so he needs to be very, very careful. Lovely. It's a nice kind of back leg. As you can tell, I go through a lot of ink, even on one drawing. So if anybody out there would like to send me some ink, send me a donation, you can go onto my PayPal. That's on the top of my YouTube page, right at the top, next to where the picture is. You can go PayPal, and you can send me some donated money to go and buy some ink. Always a pleasure to receive money for ink, because I think I probably spend more money on ink than I do on food, probably. I'm constantly trying out different inks. And if you're an ink company, whoa, hello, how are you? Let's do some kind of inky deal. Send me some free ink. I'll test it out for you. And if it's Indian ink, even better. Indian ink, in my mind, is the most delightful liquid on earth. Drawing the other leg now. He's kind of had that kind of the shock. Norman gets quite angry with him and his talk, and chases him away. So this is the part just before he gets chased away. And I would love to know what you think about today's drawing. It's always a pleasure to know what you think of it. Well, especially if you're new to the channel. Always nice to know where people are in the world. And I do need to put some stuff back onto the shop. If there's anything that you've seen, please give me a nudge and I will work something out. There's quite a few things in the shop at the moment, but if there's anything that you see me drawing that you would like as a print, do let me know. Right, I'm going to get a nice kind of grey feeling down here. Putting a nice frame on it. Oh, I do like to kind of frame up these drawings. Makes me feel like it's like in the portrait gallery or something fancy like that. And wouldn't that be nice? Lovely. Just get my little stripy legs in there. Very nice. And obviously I will get to the part of doing some grey on this cat. This is just the basic drawing of it. There will be obviously the ink is too wet at the moment, but once it kind of dries down a little bit more, I'll get in there and do some grey on the body of the cat. Give him a couple of stripes on his face. Lovely. I really love the expression on him. He's got this lovely expression on him. that is today's beautiful cat. And I would love to know what you think about him. He will be painted a lovely nice grey, obviously, because the Worry Lips book is in black and white. Since there's a lot of illustrations in it, I do find the black and white helps the story. I do think it works better as a black and white. It feeds into that whole kind of ghost side of the story, which I think is very, very, very important. And also, color books are actually getting very expensive, and I've done so many color books now. And that is today's drawing, and I hope you really enjoyed it. I would love to get a comment from you, and love to hear what you think about today's drawing. And if you want to donate some money on the PayPal for my ink, please do. Or if you want something for it, you can pop over and buy some prints like that, nice big coloured ones, over on the shop. Or go to Amazon and get a book. Like I said, Worry Lips 1. There you are. So much fun for you to go and get. So much for you to enjoy. So much for you to be a part of. So that is today's drawing, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked this kind of dead, excited cat who's going to be in my story. And I will see you again very, very soon for another drawing. Take care. Leave me a comment, and I will see you very, very, very soon. Bye-bye.